I made a video back in May called 3 Building Blocks of Samba. And in that video I talk about 3 rhythmic ideas that apply to almost every samba. If you missed that video, link is in the description and you can find it up here. There was something intentionally missing from it that my friend Esteban pointed out in the comments as well. There was no Partido Alto. The reason behind it being, Partido Alto is deserving of its own video. So today, here is that video on Partido Alto. There are time codes below, so feel free to skip around the video to find the bits that interest you the most. Partido Alto is a rhythm heavily used within samba and strongly associated with it, but to many it's also considered its own subgenre of samba. And it could also be described as just a song structure within samba also. The specific origins of this structure can be traced back to the Jongo communities. If you're not familiar with Jongo, I've left some links in the description below so you can see some examples of what it is. But to summarise it, it's a beautiful Afro-Brazilian culture that comes from enslaved peoples who were working on sugar plantations in the south of Brazil. Don't worry, I do plan on doing a full video dedicated to Jongo, but part of those grand ambitious plans involve me actually being in Brazil. So that'll happen at some point. Now that we've covered a little bit of its history, let's talk about the etymology of Partido Alto, because it's one that I've heard multiple stories about, and I just want to present each of those stories fairly. Alto, or alta, depending on the gender of the subject, means high or tall, and in this context, it's high. Partido is often thought to mean party in this context. So the literal translation, or the idiomatic translation of Partido Alto, would just be high party. Brazilians being Brazilians and loving a party, they've got more than one name for party. The more common one that's used in day-to-day language is festa. Another translation of partido is broken, making Partido Alto translate to highly broken. Partido Alto, broken high, highly broken. So what are the key characteristics of Partido Alto as a style and as a genre? The key difference between a Partido Alto and a more traditional samba is its structure. Partido Alto is comprised of 2 main parts: the refrão, which is the chorus, which, like in normal samba, is sort of sung by everyone, and then there are verses. The verses are typically sung by 1 or 2, maybe more people, but not as a collective, as sort of individuals. The key difference with these verses, and what makes them different to samba verses, is that these historically were improvised verses. So the singers would improvise and talk about different things. When there's more than one singer, these people would be competing against one another and essentially having like a slam poetry battle, but to a samba that everyone can join in with on the choruses. Often these songs are really funny and and the singers are roasting one another or roasting a subject, or someone else who's not in the roda, or they're making sort of satirical points around wider society. That's why when you're listening to any Partido Alto, and I'm going to recommend some artists later on in the video, you'll often hear lots of laughter around the verses just before the chorus, and some people might be a bit late to join in with singing because they're too busy laughing because it's really funny. It's this specific idea of improvising verses and sort of competing with one another and telling jokes and having satire that really comes from Jongo, because there are different song forms in Jongo. Some of them fulfill specific purposes, like one of them is specifically about having a battle with someone and sort of trying to outwit each other in song. In samba, especially in the 20th century, there wasn't a lot of improvisation, especially among vocalists. So let's get on to talking about the rhythms. There are a couple of sort of key rhythmic motifs found in or are called Partido Alto. Depends on who you ask. So today I'm going to show you, in their most basic form, 2 of the most important and I'd say the most useful Partido Alto rhythms that you can have in your toolkit. The first one I'm going to show you is a syncopated one, and the second one is going to be more on the beat. The rhythms that I show you today, I'm going to demonstrate them on the pandeiro, which you hear playing these rhythms a lot in reference material. But you can also play these rhythms, and the relationship between the high notes and the low notes is the same on cuica, agogo. This is an agogo de castanha, so it's made of nuts rather than metal, but metal one, same thing applies. Cavaquinho, caixa, whatever instrument you're playing Partido Alto on, the relationship's the same between high notes and low notes. You could even just do this by clapping in two different ways, with a low clap and a high clap. Whatever you've got at your disposal, use it. Here is the pattern a few times, just for you to hear it and get used to it. Because this one is, I'm going to start with the syncopated one as I mentioned, and this is the harder one to actually play, but it's the more quintessential Partido Alto pattern. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You might be thinking, what was that? So the first beat and the fourth beat are the hardest. So let's go over the first beat first. So beat 1, your only note in beat 1 is a syncopated slap or a syncopated high note. And this is going to be on the E of 1. So it's the first note after the pulse. So it's 1 E, 2, 3, 4. 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 If that is new to you, that feel of the E, don't worry, it gets easier. And it is, in isolation like this, the hardest sort of little subdivision to get in isolation. On beat 4 it's a bit easier. I'll get to that. Beat 2, so we've got 1, then 2, it's 2/8 notes. I said the word 2 a lot. 2/8 notes, and these are lower notes. So on a pandeiro you'll play them as a tone. So it's 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1 E, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 E, 2 and 3, 4. 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 Last time, 1 E, 2 and 3, 4. Already might make a little bit more sense, I hope. The next beat, beat 3 in the bar, is very easy also. And it's just the same as beat 2, only the second of those 8th notes is a slap. So just beat 2 and 3, it's 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, low, 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 high. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 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 Stop. So let's add in beat 1. Take it a little bit slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E, 2 and 3 and 4. 1 E, 2 and 3 and 4. 1 E, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop. Already, it's starting to come together and sound like a Partido Alto. There's only 2 notes missing, and there are other more syncopated, more off the beat kind of notes. The last two notes in this Partido Alto are going to be tones or lower notes depending on the instrument you're playing. Pandeiro, they're tones. And these are also very syncopated, so it's the E and the A of 4. So if we're counting it nice and slow, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and again, I'll do that nice and slow, clapping it. So it's 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and again, I'll do that a bit slower in case that's helpful. If it's not, just ignore me. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and so let's just try doing that all together, because I think those notes in isolation are harder than doing the whole thing together. So ga gung 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 ga a gung 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 da 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 and 3 and 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Again, one more time at that kind of tempo. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. Too busy counting and played it wrong, but you get the idea. That is the basic Partido Alto. On to the second main Partido Alto rhythm that is used a lot. If you play in a samba band and you play caixa and you're playing samba enredo, you will have almost certainly played this and you might be very intimately familiar with this rhythm. This is the one that's usually played on caixa in cima when you're playing the caixa held up in one hand. Here's a quick demo of how this rhythm sounds on pandeiro. 1 2 3 4. There's a much simpler rhythm in terms of it's really on the pulse. It's not a lot of syncopation, not a lot of syncopated notes that are isolated away from the pulse. So let's break this down beat by beat again. Beat 1, you've got 2 tones or 2 lower notes and then a high one. So it's do good ga. So it's 1 E A, 1 E A, 1 E A, 3 4. 1 E A 2 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 3 4. That's me adding the 2 3 4. 1 E A 2 3 4. 1 E A 2 3 4. 1 E A 2 3 4. 1 2. Right? That's the hardest part of this rhythm. It's the 1 E A 2 4. And again, a few more times just to make that really ingrained. 1 2 3 4 3 4. 1 E A 2. Let's slow it down. 1 E A 2. I get excited. 4 1 E A 2 3 4. 1 E A 2 3 4. 1 E A 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. As I mentioned, that's the hardest part of the rhythm. Beats 2, 3, and 4 are exactly the same as each other. And that's just tone, slap, tone, slap, tone, slap. So it's eighth notes the whole way, alternating between low and high. So it's 1 E, a 2, and 3, and 4, and 1 E, a 2, and 3, and 4, and 1 E, a 2, and 3, and 4, and 1 E, a 2, and 3, and 4. Just clapping that. 1 E, a 2, and 3, and 4, and 1 E, a 2, and 3, and 4, and 1 E, a 2, and 3, and 4, 1 E, a 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay? As I said before, if you've played Caixa recently in samba bands, this will be really familiar to you. So let's string those parts together, nice and slow. Do gooch, gat do tak, do tak, do tak, 1 E, a 2, and 3, and 4, and 1 E, a 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are the two Partido Alto patterns that are most prevalent, that are most useful and most applicable in your own playing. Here's how the two sound together, because I love how these two sound together. Now with the bulk of the lesson out of the way, I want to firstly say well done for getting to here. It's not always easy to learn things, especially with syncopated rhythms like Partido Alto, especially if it's your first time doing it. Very well done. But next I wanted to talk about the most important part about studying any kind of music, and that's actually listening to the music. So I'm going to give you some recommendations of great Partido Alto artists that really represent that sound and that song type. My go-to 4 artists for this style be Candeia, Clementina de Jesus, Bezerra da Silva, and last but not least, Jovelina, Pérola, and Negra. Apologies for anyone who's Brazilian or fluent in Portuguese listening to me. I am getting lessons, so it will get better, I promise. And as a complete aside, the first 3 artists that I mentioned are icons and legends that are not only within Brazil, but they're talked about quite heavily outside of it, right? Jovelina, I don't think is talked about nearly as much as she should be. I've not heard a lot of other people talking about her. I only found out about her when I got to Brazil and studied a bit more and got music recommendations from friends. So please listen to her music first and foremost, because it's not listened to enough, I don't think. It's very underappreciated. That is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you've got any thoughts you want to share, any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them as quickly as I can. And I hope to see you in the next video.